In recent times, the attention received in Minnesota has focused on their explosive offense. But in the season opener, it was an angry defense that stole the spotlight as the charged-up Vikings buried the Oilers, displaying a form that coaches' dreams are made of. The bitter ending to last season is now just a memory in Chicago, as the Bears debuted on a high note last week. Bolstered by young talent, yet still driven by the old fire, the Bears will surely stay surly for their division rivals today. After coming up empty last season against the Vikings, the Bears hope to settle a score and send a message, all in one afternoon. It is a typical NFC Central Division battle. The Minnesota Vikings at sold-out Soldier Field in Chicago for their first meeting of the year with the Chicago Bears. And an absolutely perfect afternoon for football. Hi, I'm Pat Summerall. It's good to be back. Tennis was fun, but it's good to be back and sitting next to John Madden again. And John, we've talked to the coaches and players. What kind of game do you expect?
Well, you know, as you said, when you get here in Chicago, the NFC Central Division, on a day like this, to me, this is what football's all about. And I think when you start thinking about this game, it has to be a defensive game. Last year, the Minnesota Vikings were #1 on defense in the league. The Chicago Bears were #2. So we start off that we know we got two tough defenses here. But the offensive approaches are going to be different. Mike Ditka says that to beat the Vikings, they have to not turn over the ball, and they have to be able to run the ball. Neil Anderson has to have a big day. Now, on the Minnesota Vikings side, Jerry Burns doesn't think they can run the ball. He says, we're not a running team. We won't be able to get into any running early. Maybe in the second half we'll get some running. We have to be able to pass. We have to be able to pass protect. Our wide receivers have to be able to get open. And we're going to work our right side because on the Bear left side, they have two defensive rookies.
A bright, sunshiny day. A bright, sunshiny day at Soldier Field. Bears have won the toss.
Start the game, Teddy Garcia will kick off for Minnesota.
Back deep for the Bears, Dennis Gentry and Mark Green. Teddy Garcia, a new kicker for the Minnesota Vikings, will get things started. A bright, bright, sunshiny, perfect day for almost anything, especially to see an NFC Central Division match at Soldier Field between the Bears and the Vikings. Two of the very best in pro football. It will be Gentry, and he is dangerous. He shows you why. Gentry out to the 31 before he's hit down by Reggie Rutland. A 29-yard return by number 29. Mike Tomczak. 16-3 is the starting quarterback for the Bears. His offensive front will have Covert, Bortz, Hilgenberg at center, Thayer, Van Horn, and the tight end James Thornton. In the backfield, Neil Anderson, Brad Muster start. Dennis McKinnon, Ron Morris are the wide receivers, and then you'll see a lot of number 29 who just handled the opening kickoff. First and 10 Bears just outside their own 30. Mike Tomczak, last week 10 out of 24, 2 intercepted. 1 touchdown. Thornton moves to the right side. Flag on the first play. Tomczak has the pass caught and dropped by Morris. But the Vikings were offside. Fulling Washington was the defender. Jim Tunney is the referee. I think somebody on the right side, Dolman, I believe.
That's what it is. I think it's both Millard and Dolman. You know, what happened is Tomczak gave him that stutter count.
Defense, 5 yards, still first down.
You know, one thing the Vikings do, Pat, is really get off on the snap of the ball. So one way to keep them off balance is to change your starting count, your snap count, and that's what Mike Tomczak did.
And both those guys, Dolman and Millard, are very quick. 1st and 5 from the 36. Neil Anderson, the ball carrier. Had a big week last week, but no gain this time. Dolman chases him down. The front four for Minnesota: Noga, Thomas, Millard, and Dolman. The linebackers: David Howard, Scott Studwell in the middle, and Mike Merriweather. A very important acquisition. Carl Lee, Rutland, Fullington, and Browner start as the 4 backs. And then you see 2 more when they go to the 6-man setup. 2nd and 6. Anderson actually lost a yard. Thornton, the tight end, lined up on the left. McKinnon is the move man, and Tomczak back to throw. Pass caught by McKinnon. Right out. The first down yardage needed, 5 or 6 maybe. Reggie Rutland made the hit on McKinnon.
You know, it's interesting the way the Bears start here. That is, they know they have to run today, so they start off with a play pass because they know Minnesota knows that. Then they give them a hard count to try and get that defense off balance. I think they're trying to do anything to antagonize this Viking defense at the start here.
5-yard pickup. It looks like it's about a foot short of a first down.
You know, this is one area that the Bears didn't have great success in last week, is short yardage. You know, they don't have, in Brad Muster, they don't have a real short yardage fullback anymore.
Mike Ditka. He hasn't lost any of his fire, has he?
No, I don't think he ever will. And I think on this situation, he'll probably call a quarterback sneak.
Tomczak up under the center. Hilgenberg just in front of him. They need a foot. Sneak is good enough. And the Bears get the first down of the game. He got 3 yards.
Usually when you get that extreme short yardage, that's the surest thing you have. And again, as I said last week, they got down to the goal line. They tried their fullback, they tried their halfback, they couldn't get in. And you could just have a feeling yesterday that the first short yardage they got was going to be a quarterback sneak.
Well, it's the sensible thing to do.
Yeah, he's the closest to getting it before the ball snapped.
So it's 1st and 10 Bears at their own 42 in the first quarter. Anderson again. To the 45. Those of you who watched the Atlanta Falcons come from behind to beat Dallas, welcome to Soldier Field, Chicago. 0-0. This is the first offensive series of this game. Atlanta beats Dallas, outscored them 17-0 in the second half. 27-21 the final. Herschel Walker had 2 rushing touchdowns. 2nd and 7. Anderson this time splits wide to the left, utilizing him now as a wide receiver. This is Muster, hit behind the line of scrimmage by Merriweather. He might have been strong enough to get a yard.
You know, when we were talking yesterday to Jerry Burns, here's Mike Merriweather there. He said that this has been one of the best additions that they've ever made, that they needed something like this on defense. He said they thought he was a good player coming from Pittsburgh, but he was even more than they thought when they got him.
Quicker and stronger. Those of you who watched the New Orleans Green Bay game, which must have been a real thriller, welcome to Soldier Field in Chicago. 0-0 here between the Vikings and the Bears. Packers with a 1-point victory over the Saints. Hamza has a man. He had Morris. There was a good throw.
That was a heck of a throw. But, you know, Darryl Fullington is the starting free safety today. He was upset, too. He thought he had an interception. And I don't know if he was going for the ball or the collision, but he missed both, and Morris missed the ball. That was 0 for 3 on that deal.
I think both of them had collision in mind.
And there was no collision. Maybe both of them had catch in mind. There was no catch.
Leo Lewis back for Maury Buford's punt. Very nearly blocked it. Away from Lewis. Through his legs. Inside the 5. He touched it. And he got it back. He was lucky. A 50-yard punt. Wade Wilson will enter. 16 out of 25 last week. The offensive line in front of him is a good one, too. Zimmerman, Daniel, Loudermilk, Kalis, and Irwin. The tight end today is Darrell Ingram. In the backfield, Dozier and Anderson, Carter and Jones, the wide receivers. And we'll see a lot of Gustafson, and when they go with 4, it'll be Leo Lewis. Wilson as the Vikings take over inside their own 5. Hassan Jones was the move man. This is Dozier. He struggles to get out to about the 7. Pickup of 3. Morrissey on the stop. The defensive line for the Bears. The rookie Trace Armstrong at left end. Steve McMichael next to him, and then Hampton, and then Richard Dent. Rivera and Morrissey, the outside linebackers, and Singletary in the middle. The secondary, Wolford, Jackson, Gale, and Durison, and it'll be Paul and Stinson when they go to 6. Second down and 7. Finney is in now. That's how they get the plays in. He's number 31. Wilson. His fastball went right through the hands of Hassan Jones.
You know, Pat, as we were looking at that defense of the Bears, Donnell Wolford was the #1 draft choice of the Bears. He's playing left corner. And on the same side, Trace Armstrong, he was the second #1 draft choice. So they have 2 rookies playing on the left side of their defense. And Jerry Burns says that's the area we want to go to. That's what we're going to check out.
And the people we got to really worry about are those 3 in the middle. Hampton, McMichael, and Singletary.
They've been worrying about those 3 in the middle for years and years. Some things never change.
Shotgun formation for the Vikings. Rice in the backfield under heavy pressure and a blitz by Durison. Wilson was lucky to get rid of it. Gustafson was the intended receiver, but Durison coming on a safety blitz.
And you see him, he's free. The end goes out, the tackle goes inside. There's a hole for Durison. He comes straight up the middle. That was the only thing that Wade Wilson could do. He had to get rid of that ball, or that was going to be a safety.
So Mark Green is back deep for the Bears, standing at midfield. Bucky Scribner.
The Bears have 10 guys up in the front. I could see him coming on a punt block. They have refrigerator Perry right over the center.
Left-footed Bucky Scribner hits a dandy. Out of bounds at midfield. So the Bears take over. 0-0 at Soldier Field, first quarter. Other scores. Cleveland beat the Jets 35-24. Cincinnati comfortably ahead of Pittsburgh. Boy, disaster. Kansas City 24. The Raiders 19. That's still in progress. Miami beat New England. They were ahead 24-0 at one time. Dan Marino threw 3 touchdown passes. Phoenix leads 6-0. Firing deep for Gentry. Incomplete. Carl Lee was the cover man for Minnesota.
I think Gentry is a guy that they try and slip into different positions. You know, as a wing, the slot, they put him in the backfield, and they try and get a big play. He's their big play receiver. Now, Mike Ditka thinks a great deal of this guy, that he can do anything, and you know, he can play, he can run, he can block, he can return kicks. He says that guy's just a football player.
He said yesterday he might have lost a little speed, but what speed he's lost, he's made up for with his intelligence and intensity. Hand off to Anderson.
Neil Anderson, the ball carrier.
4-yard gain right now for an NFL update. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Here's one that is awfully tough to see, but it counts as a touchdown. Now Mike Quick takes it away from Chris Carter. You can hardly see Quick, and now with 1:48 to go, the Skins lead the Eagles by 2, 37-35. Back to Pat and John.
0-0 in Chicago between the Vikings and the Bears. 3rd and 6. Bears have the ball at the Viking 47. Noga jumped offside this time. Tomczak goes through with things, gets the ball to Anderson, no gain. Isaac Hope made the stop.
I think Tomczak should have taken a shot downfield, because you just said the Vikings were offside, so it was a free play for Tomczak. He only threw a short little one. Maybe he had nothing downfield, but Al Noga jumped offside.
There's a guy they've been pleasantly surprised with.
I think that's probably their biggest surprise. He's his second year. In his first year he came and really wasn't sure of what the NFL and Minnesota and the Vikings and everything was all about. And this year he came back, and the players and the coaches, everyone says Al Noga's a whole new guy.
Well, that's a difficult adjustment from Hawaii to Minnesota.
And, you know, he's not the prototype defensive end. He's only 6 feet tall.
3rd down and short. Neil Anderson nudged enough to get the first down. Stopped by Studwell. Pickup of 2. They needed 1.
Neil Anderson was saying yesterday, against this Viking defense, they just rush the passer all the time. He said, sometimes I'm going to get nothing on a run because I'll run right into him. But I hope that somewhere they stunt, they run out of their lanes, and there's a big, big run.
And that can happen against a defense that does a lot of stunting like that. Sometimes there'll be a crowd there, and sometimes there'll be no one there.
And especially if you're a talent like Neil Anderson.
1st down, Bears. Minnesota 40. No score. Tomczak outside to Musker, who lost the ball, but after he was down in the arms of Scott Studwell. He only got perhaps a yard.
Watch Keith Millard here, Pat. He's going to take an inside move on Bortz. You see, he sets him up for a power rush. Then he just gets his right shoulder inside him. Bortz really had a hold of his neck, but he was right in Tomczak's face, made him throw when he didn't want to throw. You talk about your best defensive tackles in football. This guy is it right here.
Interesting how he said if he played against Bortz, he'd do certain things, and if it was Thayer on the other side, he'd do certain other things.
He was going to try and power rush against Bortz and quick rush against Thayer.
Gentry was on the move again, and this is Anderson again. Lighter is Anderson this year, and quicker. Picked up 4. Minnesota had 3 plays. That's all. Less than a minute they've had it. The Bears 6-18.
You know, Mike Ditka thought that when they had trouble with the Vikings, they played them 3 times last year, once in preseason, twice in regular season, and they got blown out here at Soldier Field. And he said the big reason in that game was turnovers. We just turned the ball over too much.
And that's the thing he said, in order to win, we can't do today.
And that time of possession, I think, helps, because that could keep his defense off the field, keep him fresh, and keep Minnesota's offense off the field.
A direct snap back to Tomczak, who's under pressure. He gets the pass. And McKinnon gets inside the 20. There's a play we haven't seen before.
They had guys crossing all over the field. Thomas Sanders was going one way. McKinnon comes all the way across. You're going to see McKinnon. He's going to come across the field here. Tomczak fakes, then he comes out to this side, and he hits the cross right in this area here. Sanders in the backfield. He goes the other way. You see right there, McKinnon right in the middle of the field, going all the way over to the 20, right there, wide open.
And the 2 guards came in the other direction.
That was an old waggle, and you usually see that when the quarterback's up under center, not when he's in a shotgun.
So it's 1st and 10 Bears at the Viking 19. Flag on the play.
Delay. Offense. Still first down.
See that formation, Pat? They had James Thornton, the tight end, in the backfield. He was going to help with pass protection. I think he was going to help on those tackles inside there on Millard. Here's one of Millard's move here. Watch, it's a head slap. You start up there, you see, and he gets up to the shoulder. Then he's trying to get that other one in. Then he brings the left shoulder over to get in. Neither one of them worked because the whistle had blown.
He's like blocking a windmill.
He throws those arms.
Anderson is open. Looks like about a foot shy. Fullington on the stop.
Anderson says he has a touchdown. He comes out of the backfield on the left side. You see Tomczak take that 5-step drop, hits him right up just outside the hash marks. Anderson catches the ball. That's a touchdown. They better review that one. I don't know how they cannot call it a touchdown.
Remember last year here against Green Bay when he was on the other side of the field and thought he had a touchdown, thought he stumbled into the end zone, and they went back and reviewed it and ruled it a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't know how they cannot rule this a touchdown.
Clock to 30 seconds, please. 30.
Let's watch it. He's coming right down the middle there. You'll see him right on the hash marks, running up the middle. He catches the ball. He has possession. Unless they say where his knee went down, the ball didn't break the plane.
Well, they're going to take another look.
That's the only thing is because you could see the ball break the plane. The only thing they could say if they don't give him a touchdown is the knee was down before the ball broke the plane.
Again.
Yeah, that's what the official on the play had to call, that his knee was down before the ball went in.
The umpire is the official who communicates with the men in the booth, the replay officials.
35, New York Jets, 24.
Wonder what Mike Ditka's thinking now. I bet he's thinking, what am I going to play? The last short yardage he used, we talked about the quarterback sneak. I know one thing, I would think with first down here that if he has to call a play, that's Greg Landry there, I would think that the play would be either a quarterback sneak or a play pass would be a great call on this down.
The umpire there in communication is Hindi Ensich. Jim Tunney in the white hat, and they're still reviewing.
One thing, you know, it's not bad instant replay. The fans get into that too. I mean, they're rooting for the instant replay now.
Wonder what Jim Tunney's thinking. The last game he did here was the fog game.
Upon further review by the replay, the ball across the goal line is a touchdown.
Touchdown.
The fans got to cheer that touchdown for about 3 minutes.
Extra point is good. With Mike Tomczak holding, the Bears get the early lead. 7-0 with 5:10 remaining.
And Neil Anderson feels good about that one. He argued immediately. He knew he had a touchdown. The thing that took the time is they were reviewing whether he was down by contact before the ball went in there. Then they decided that he wasn't down by contact. And I think Neil Anderson was saying, I could have told you that the whole time.
7 plays, 51 yards. Touchdown pass from Tomczak to Neil Anderson. Other scores. Still in the 4th quarter, the Redskins lead the Eagles by 2. Atlanta beat Dallas. Cleveland 38, the Jets 24. Cincinnati, that's a final now, 41-10 over the Steelers. Kansas City beat the Raiders. Marty Schottenheimer's debut in Kansas City. Green Bay 35, the Saints 34. The Giants lead Detroit 3-0. Phoenix over Seattle 6-0. Houston 3, San Diego 0. The Rams over the Colts 3-0. And the Buccaneers 3-0 over San Francisco, first quarter.
Look who's on this kickoff coverage, Pat. Let's see it. William the Refrigerator Perry. He's a backup tackle now, but he's on the punt return and the kickoff coverage. How would you like to be on the kickoff return and be assigned to have to stop Perry after he gets a 40-yard run at you?
I'd be avoiding number 72, I think.
Well, he's lining up right next to the kicker in the left-hand side, so he's going to go straight down the middle. He's what they call a wedge buster.
He's a wedge by himself. Alan Rice returned the kickoff. 9-yard return.
Brought down by Jones. Final score.
He'd be hard to miss.
Well, one thing, he was going down in the middle. Now watch how he does it. See, he gets himself going. You got to get those wings wound up to get that whole mass going down the field. Now he's going to run right down the hash mark. No one's going to get in his way. He's hoping they come up the middle. The ball goes to the left. He just kind of bends over. Poor Ray Berry was trying to block him. What an assignment.
Here's Wade Wilson back to throw it. Anthony Carter. That must have been a catch. We were blocked out. 16-yard gain. Wolford, the defender.
Well, this is the area that they're going to work at. We talked about Donnell Wolford being the rookie. They were going to try and get Anthony Carter on him and work to this side. That's not a bad match. You got a rookie against one of the best wide receivers in football. And you see what he did? He just got him, kept him inside him, gave him a little move, and then knew that he had that outside.
1st and 10, Minnesota as the Bear defense shifts. Hassan Jones was the man in motion. Passes outside to Finney. And Finney has another Viking first down. Dewerson knocked him out of bounds. For an NFL update, let's again send you back to New York and Brent Musburger.
Pat, one of the most unbelievable games of the decade. This is going to be a fumble. The Eagles are going to get it. There's going to be a handoff, and Wes Hopkins will run 77 yards, which sets up the 5th touchdown pass of the day by Randall Cunningham. 45 seconds to go now, and the Philadelphia Eagles lead it 42-37 back to Pat.
That one might last forever.
That's amazing. That was like that Eagle-Giant game years ago.
DJ Dozier, the ball carrier, no gain, stopped by Singletary.
He was nailed.
Hey, if the Redskins lose 2 in a row at the end like that, that could be a tough thing to swallow at the first 2 games of the season.
They had such high hopes. You know, no team has ever lost the first 2 games and wound up in the Super Bowl.
And the Washington Redskins were one of those teams that could wind up in the Super Bowl before things started.
And to lose them like that. 2nd and 10. Balls at the Bear 46. Bears had a blitz coming. Carter. Vesty Jackson was the cover man. And one of the things the Bears said, we got to stop number 81. That's a big task. And what we have to do is make sure he knows that we're there and we're serious about contact. Bob Snelker.
We were talking to Wade Wilson last night about Bob Snelker. He says we get along well now. A year ago, remember when Wade Wilson was the starting quarterback, Snelker used to give him a lot of heck over in the sideline. And then he said they got that straightened out. And he said they don't have it. He said he owes everything that he is as a quarterback now to Bob Snelker.
He was trying to get rid of it as the Bears were all over him again. This time it was Sean Gale with an assist from Richard Dent.
But here's where they're going to get the pressure. Here's Sean Gale right here. And he starts on the outside, then he comes right up the middle. They pick up Dewerson, they don't get Gale. Okay, now right there, Wade Wilson knows he has to get rid of it. He just threw it to some green grass.
Bucky Scribner back to punt from his own 39. Mark Green deep for the Bears. Another good kick. It'll hang there for a while. Hammered down. Viking coverage is good. 32-yard punt, a return of 13. So they didn't net that much out of it.
33 yards.
There's Perry. He's right there in the middle of that stuff. Watch the block here. You're going to see, boom, right there. That's coming and picking off someone on a block. That gives you, that block there was worth about 7 yards. That was Lorenzo Lynch.
And a block like that will make you start looking around.
Put your head on the swivel.
I think that was James Thornton out of the backfield as a ball carrier. Was. Tell you what, he's got some guns on him. Arms.
Yeah, they call him RoboCop. I don't know if that's what a tight end looks like, but he doesn't look like a real loose guy. But he looks very muscular, but he does have some movement to him. They put him in the backfield again, and he was going to be a blocker, you know, to help in there on pass protection. And then they were just going to slip him the ball and think that no one would look at him back there.
2nd and 6. Tomczak behind Muster. Again, Millard was right in his face.
I think Tomczak threw that when he didn't want to. He got a little nervous on that one. I think his protection's pretty good. I think this Bear offensive line is doing a good job of pass protection, because you aren't going to shut this Viking defensive line out. But if you can give them some time, you see, boom, boom, they got the double there. Pretty good pickup there. Tomczak, I think, just got a little nervous feet on that thing. I don't know that he had as much pressure or rush as he felt that he had pressure or rush.
So it's 3rd down now and 6. Dolman hit Tomczak just as he let it go, but Anderson makes the catch. Juggled it, and I'm not sure about this one.
Maybe that's what Tomczak needs, is someone to hit him. That time he did get hit. Anderson comes in motion, ends up like a wide receiver. Look, he has good speed out there. It ends up in double coverage. He makes the catch. Now, did he have control? No, he didn't have it. He was bobbling the ball. Watch it here. You have to have both feet in, but control of the ball. He had the feet in, but the first shot didn't look like he had control of the ball. He never had control of it.
I don't think he ever had it.
Yeah, that's not a legal catch, but watch Dolman hit Tomczak here right after he throws it. Doink.
They will review this one, I'm sure.
I think they're going to have to bring that one back. Anderson is +1 on instant replay today, and I think he's going to lose that one, because you have to catch, control, and feed inbounds.
7-0 at Soldier Field. The Bears lead Minnesota. We're still in the first quarter. 2:17 left. Now, those of you who watched the thriller at RFK Stadium watched the Eagles come from behind to beat the Redskins 42-37. Washington had 4 second-half turnovers. One of them led to the winning score. Here's why we're in the middle of a delay right now. That's Neil Anderson bobbling as he goes out of bounds. The question is, did he ever have possession? And our vote is 2-0. He didn't have possession.
Yeah, I would think not, but again, for the audience that just joined us, they had an instant replay where they didn't call a touchdown for Neil Anderson, looked at instant replay, and then gave him the touchdown.
Review, the play is ruled as an incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd down and 6 yards, 3rd and 6.
Yeah, I don't think there was any other way they could have ruled that. Neil Anderson was much more animated on the touchdown when he thought that he was in. This one here, you just look like he is kind of resigned to the fact that he knew he didn't catch that one.
So it'll be 4th and 6. Maury Buford back for the Bears to kick it. Leo Lewis, number 87, back to catch it.
Maury Buford and his punt formation. Leo Lewis from Minnesota.
A gentle breeze blowing against Buford, nothing too serious. A hanger. This from behind by Glenn Kozlowski. 38-yard punt, 4-yard return. 2 minutes, 8 seconds left to play in the first quarter at Soldier Field. It's the Bears 7, the Vikings nothing. Spectating. The city in the background, and you won't see it much more clearly than that. Soldier Field. This, John, is what the game is about.
I think so. Two of the better teams in football, two tough teams, two teams that every year will be fighting for the division lead and being in the playoffs. As you say, this is what it's all about.
Steve Jordan, the all-pro tight end, has joined the fray. This is Darren Nelson, and there's nothing doing in the middle. Steve McMichael was the first Bear to hit him.
Yeah, Steve Jordan missed the whole preseason, held out, was injured last week. They didn't think he'd play today. Now look at that right ankle. In fact, right there, look at that as it moves around right here. You see what they did is they put a cast on there. It's a fiberglass cast. He tried it out before the game. In fact, he came out here in Mike Merriweather's jersey, number 57, tried it out, says it was okay, and that he could play.
Wilson gets it to Nelson. First down, Minnesota. Singletary tripped him up. A gain of 11. The Bears are getting a strong rush on Wade Wilson.
Well, they knew that they had to do that. The Bear defense felt that Minnesota's not going to beat them running. If they're going to beat their defense, they have to do it passing. And the most important thing is to put pressure on the passer.
First and 10, the ball's at the 47. Intended for Hassan Jones, a little bit behind him, covered by Wolford.
Wolford passed that test there, and he's going to have to keep passing tests anytime you're a rookie. Anytime you look at a lineup and you see rookie corner, that means one, try and get a man-on-man and then work against them. Wolford does a good job here. He should have got his hands on him a little sooner. There he grabs an arm. That helps bring him in. Then he gets that left hand on the ball and knocks it away. This kid could be the best corner the Bears have had in years and years.
Outstanding athletic ability. Second and 10. Duerson faked the blitz and then backed off. Handoff is to Finney.
Rick Finney.
Duerson and Gale made the stop.
Minnesota has a deal where they use 4 backs. They bring in Finney and Alfred Anderson. Here comes Anderson now. They bring in the plays. Bob Schnelker calls the plays, gives it to one of the fullbacks. So every time you're going to see a different fullback.
And then on 3rd and long, you'll see the 5th one. I mean, 3rd and long. You'll see Alan Rice.
Alan Rice is the pass receiving fullback. That's specialization.
Nelson on 3rd down. Nowhere to go. Dewerson. A loss of 3. That's the end of the first quarter with the score. The Bears 7. The Vikings nothing.
You know, in that last run, the guy who makes it is Dave Dewerson right here, 22. Watch how he comes up and takes on the guard, Kalis, right there. Watch him, boom, you come up, you take him on, he knocks him right back into the ball carrier. He got across into the backfield, took on the guard, had containment, knocked the guard into the ball carrier, and held on till all his friends came. That is what you call force and support by a safety.
So Bucky Scribner will go back to punt after the Vikings fail on 3rd down. Lead man is Mark Green. There's Scribner, number 13.
Hey, Bucky Scribner doesn't kick a lot of long ones, but he kicks a lot of high ones, and he kicks some knuckleballs, and they're tough to handle because he kicks them from the left side. I think for a punt returner, the toughest punt to catch is one that comes off the foot of a left footer.
I'm not sure what the holdup is at the moment. The scoreboard clock is gone down. Dehydrated.
So what they'll do is if it doesn't get back in, then they'll just keep the time on the field. Jim Tunney is explaining what they have to do.
The weather is a little bit different from the last time we were here, when it was 15 below or more. There's one of those knuckleballs. Handled nicely. But the coverage is good. Rick Finney is the first Viking down, and he makes the stop.
He was brought down by Rick Finney.
So it's 7-0 with 14:51 left in the first half. Chicago. Pat Summerall, John Madden, as you look at Mike Ditka and his coaching staff, Johnny Rowland, Dick Stanfeld, Greg Landry. Seven 0 14:51 left in the first half. 1st and 10 Bears at their own 9. One of the Bears jumped, I think. Sanders and Suey were the setbacks that time. It was Sanders.
That's exactly what happened. It was that hard count again. Tomczak went to the hard count, trying to draw the Vikings off, and the guy that moved was his own tight end. Usually he's going to get it there now. He'll get it from Ditka as he comes off. Watch as he arrives here shortly.
He got it from more than Ditka.
There was a whole group. And there's no way that you can sneak in around behind those guys. You got to go right to the front of them.
Mike just stepped out of Gentleman's Quarterly today.
Yeah, and he got some suspenders to hold everything up.
Well, he's got a belt, too.
That's the old double dipper. There's nothing going to slide on Mike today.
Suey and Sanders, again the two running backs. Hand off to Sanders. He is corralled by Merriweather.
Well, Suey missed a block on that one. He was out there leading blocker for Sanders, and he didn't get that. And I'll guarantee you, you can be dressed and have on that belt and those suspenders, and even has a rope to hold his glasses on.
Got cuffs on his pants, too.
I know. He got everything is going to be held together today. You know, as he said, you know, the funny thing, he had the heart attack a year ago, and, He was saying everyone could say you got to change. And he said you can change, but you only change outwardly. And he said what the problems are is what goes on inwardly, and that never changes.
The fire's still there. You don't see as much smoke. Out of the end zone. And intended for Morris was Tomczak. Joey Browner on the coverage.
And Carl Lee was there too. I feel Carl Lee is one of the best corners in the NFL, and the Bears have tried to work on him a couple of times today, and there hasn't been anything there yet. I don't think that you're going to get a deep one on Carl Lee.
He doesn't get a lot of notoriety outside of Minnesota, but he is a good one. You're right.
Well, he was an all-Maddener last year.
I recall.
That was double coverage. The other guy, Joey Browner, he was also on the team. I like this Viking defense. I like the whole Viking defensive team.
Gentry is split wide to the right. Thomas inside of him. I said Thomas. I meant Sanders. Thomas Sanders. Kozlowski was the intended receiver. Reggie Rutland on the coverage.
Well, that one didn't work either. They tried to throw it up over here on Lee, and they got nothing, and they went over, and they got Rutland. They got another air ball. Looks like the Vikings offensively are really out of sync.
Well, it could be a bit of a tribute to the Bear defensive scheme. The reason they're out of sync. Here's Buford standing back close to the end line. Leo Lewis at midfield. Flag went down before the ball was snapped, just a second before it was snapped.
Yeah, the whistle blew before the ball was snapped. But that's what you don't want to hear if it's your team. You only want to hear one thump. You know, if it's your punter and you hear thump, thump, something bad has just happened.
Holt was the man who knocked it out of the end zone for Minnesota.
Mike Ditka's telling those two wide guys to get in.
Tighten up.
He doesn't want them out there. They're staying out there. They're not moving in.
A shank. Lewis feels it at the 43. Flag on the play. Lewis is down at about the 32. Flags all over the place.
I'll tell you, that'll still shake up a punter, won't it? Even though it was blocked and it didn't count. He was coming up there. You're backed up against your end line. That is a tough thing. That'll cause the shanks.
Yeah.
Illegal block.
Those two thumps
on the receiving
don't help
team.
your
It's
mental
10
state
yards
either.
And a first down.
You watch, it's number 48 right there blocking on 29. That's going to be the illegal block. You see, once he passes you, you can't get your hands on him. In fact, he would have been better off just letting him go.
Let him go. 7-0 Chicago.
Ball League is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. Owens Corning, our building products put your house in the pink. And by Armor All Protectant, because we're crazy about cars too.
Back at Soldier Field, the Vikings and the Bears. First down, Minnesota at the Bear 47. With Chicago leading 7-0. William Perry, the refrigerator, has taken Dan Hampton's place, and that's something they plan to do throughout the year.
Yeah, he'll take Dan Hampton's place, and he'll move over and take Steve McMichael's place. The idea is to keep Hampton, McMichaels healthy, not only every game, but the whole year.
When you've had as many knee operations as those two have, you need a break. In a long season like this.
But just last week, Dan Hampton was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Hand off to Nelson. And he barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. He did well to get there. Harry and Dent and Singletary.
I think this is where the Vikings have to get going now. As I said, offensively, they seem to be out of sync. And here they're trying to run. We see Darren Nelson trying to come on this counter play, but it just doesn't look like they believe that anything's going to be there. They have 49 yards so far. Here, they have good field position. I think if they're going to get going, now is the time to get it going.
Here comes Duerson sneaking up in the middle. Wilson gets away from Armstrong and gets it to Jordan. And he hammers down to about the 32. Sean Gale put the hit on him. 16-yard gain. Wilson did a good job
of getting away from Trace Armstrong. Armstrong is going to come from the right. You see Wade Wilson's going to the right. Armstrong comes, he's free. Wade Wilson gives him a little move, and here comes Steve Jordan on the crossing pattern, wide open. But he pays for it at the end. I don't know how he held on to that ball.
That's how you get it knocked out of there. 1st and 10, Minnesota. With their 32. Duerson dancing in the middle. Anderson. And again, nothing doing running. Morrissey on the stop after a gain of 3.
Richard Dent made a great play on that one. They were trying to trap him. They were bringing Todd Kalis. The right guard comes across. Watch the right guard. He comes across. Dent comes in there and takes on the trap and bottles up the thing. Watch the right guard as he comes to pull right there. Now watch the contact right there. Dent takes him on and again knocks Kalis right into his own runner.
2nd and 8. They're showing blitz again. Flag on the play. Pass is complete to Nelson, no gain. Sean Gale with another strong tackle.
This is a guy that last year broke his neck. And he just is all over that field playing. Mike Ditka said he can be one of the best in the game if we can just keep him healthy. He said, but the most he's ever played was like 8 games because this guy hits so hard, it's always something.
Some of the other teams took a look at him, in fact, in the offseason.
5 yards, it's still 2nd down.
But he's back in a Bear uniform.
Well, he was a Plan B guy. He was not protected. And Mike Ditka says we knew that, you know, with a broken neck, coming off a broken neck, no one was going to pick him up. Some teams looked at him, no one picked him up. But he said we knew if they could get him through that he would end up being their starting safety.
2nd and 3 for the Vikings, trying to tie it up. Wilson to Nelson. Hit by Perry. A gain of 3.
That is one thing you cannot do, is run right at Perry. Now, Randall McDaniel is a heck of a guard. But when you get Perry and you get this big guy here, he's going to take up this area. You cannot run in here when he is here. You can do some other thing, but you can't run in there when he's there. You just can't get any movement on it. You see, they start to, and that's like trying to block a building or something.
You know, Dan Hampton made an interesting observation yesterday about William Perry. He said, it's too bad we don't play a 3-man front, because this guy would have been one heck of a nose tackle.
He would be, and just plays like that. That's what a nose tackle has to do, is handle that area, the center and the 2 guards. And I agree with him. And I think Perry, if he could ever get this weight thing under control, would still be a great player in this league. I mean, he has some unbelievable talent.
But that talent is just carrying too big a package.
Well, from the waist down, he's pretty good. And from the top of the 72 up, he's good. It's from the bottom of the 7 to the waist where it's not too good.
That affects a lot of people. Here's Wilson with some time, this time to Carter. And about the 5. Wolford made the stop, but 16-yard gain and a 1st down.
This is a guy that loves to play football, Anthony Carter. Again, one of the best. He gets on Wolford, he gives him a little move, makes Wolford slip, gets to the inside, is not afraid to go to the inside. He'll go inside, he'll go outside, he'll go deep, slant, do anything. And that's what makes Anthony Carter special. He'll go inside with the same enthusiasm he goes outside. 1st and goal
at the 5. Finney and Nelson are the 2 backs for the Vikings. It's Finney by Dent. maybe a yard, maybe not that much. Dante Jones with an assist.
Richard Dent, coming off a broken leg, really didn't look too good last week in the opener. But I'll tell you, he's playing now. Richard Dent looks like he was a couple years ago. Just remember, a couple plays ago, he took on the guard, stuffed that, came back here, stuffed that run. If he ever gets back to his pass rush, look out. When Richard Dent is healthy and on, this guy, I think, is the best pure pass rusher in the NFL.
And it's 2nd and goal from the 5. And David Huffman at tight end. That was Anderson, and not much doing there either, just a yard. And Hampton at the bottom of that pile.
Dan Hampton said, you see him getting fired up there? He said, you know, to a defensive lineman, the thing that gets you upset is when someone runs on you. He said, they're going to pass on you. That doesn't bother a defensive lineman. But you take pride in not having them run against you. And that's why the Bears were #1 in defense against the rush. I think the Vikings are going to pass here. They got 4 wide receivers. I said enough of that run already.
They got to do that. Wilson operates out of the shotgun. And now, Tony stops it.
Timeout, Chicago.
8:07 left to play in the first half. Bears lead it by a touchdown. Bears. 70 years ago today, John, in Canton, Ohio, the National Football League and the Chicago Bears were formed in a Hupmobile showroom in Canton, Ohio, which is now the site of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, of course. So it's a very, very moving day here in Chicago. Before the game, in fact, that's a Hupmobile. I don't think that was in the showroom at the time. In there, Virginia McCaskey, George Hallis's daughter, and that's Ed McCaskey riding in the front seat. The commemorative coin that was used by Jim Tunney before the game started for the toss of the coin and the flyover, which took place before the game. And the game itself, 3rd and goal from the 4. Gustafson is the man in motion. For him, touchdown.
Well, they couldn't run. They knew they had to pass it. They went 4 wide receivers. Gustafson was the guy all the way. He lined up in the left side, came all the way across in motion. Ditka saying, hey, I knew we were going to go to that guy. Watch him. Here he is, 80. He came from the left side all the way. Now, Stinson, number 32, got caught up in having to go across, and he couldn't get there by the time the ball got there.
Garcia will try for the extra point and gets it with Scribner holding. So 8:02 left to play in the first half at Soldier Field. It's Minnesota 7, the Chicago Bears 7. Drive, 8 plays, 47 yards. Wilson ended it with a 4-yard touchdown pass to Gustafson. He was 3 for 3 on the drive. It's a real Viking scene there with Wilson. Garcia, high kick, fielded at the 1 by Mark Green.
Let's watch the touchdown again, Pat. Here's Gustafson. Now he's going to come in motion here and end up here. Now the problem is Stinson is covering him here. Now for him to get there, he has to run through all this stuff here, and then he can't get there. So just watch this guy run, and that's how they get the touchdown. They know it's going to be, but watch how Stinson gets behind, because he has to go around guys. Then he has to go around another one there, and by the time he gets out there, it's already a touchdown.
Anderson is split out as a wide receiver to the right, out of your picture. Covered by Browner. That's the match they like. Tomczak goes the other way in the direction of McKinnon. Total yards today, the Vikings 91. Bears 65, 66 of them in the first quarter, -1 in the second.
On that second quarter, they've had some bad field positions. They've had some penalties. But the one thing they haven't had that would really get Mike Ditka excited is they haven't had those turnovers. And he thinks that if they don't have any turnovers, Minnesota can't beat them here.
Second and 10. Anderson. Wrapped up by Jesse Solomon. There's some doubt about whether or not he was going to be able to play or not.
Yeah, I think when we saw him at the hotel last night, we knew he was going to play. Jesse Solomon is coming off a serious knee surgery, was just activated for this game, is only going to be a spot player. But I think when we saw him in the hotel, he looked like a fired up guy, didn't he?
Third and 12. Ball's at the 22. Sanders in motion. Tomzak has to unload early. As the Vikings applied the blitz that time, Dennis McKinnon again the intended receiver.
I'll tell you, Chris Dolman really gave a pass rush on that one. He starts here. He's going to come inside covert and just go diving. But this looks like the Chris Dolman of a couple years ago. See that swim technique? Then the dive, jumping over. That is a pass rush. That makes a quarterback do some things he doesn't want to do.
That was serious.
Serious going after something.
Right. Buford back to punt. High short kick this time. Leo Lewis, fair catch. And the Vikings will take over at their own 42-yard line. 6:47 left to play in the first half. And the score tied at 7.
Final score.
7 at Soldier Field. Vikings have the ball at their own 42. Dozier, right side to about the 45, a gain of 3. Some of the other scores, the Detroit Lions leading the Giants in the second quarter, 7-3. Phoenix over Seattle, 13-7. That's second quarter as well. And San Diego giving Houston a long day. Colts by a touchdown over the Rams, and Eric Dickerson's return to Anaheim. 3-3. The Bucks and the 49ers. Second and 7. Flag on the play. He got 5. Trace Armstrong on the stop, but it's going to be holding against the Vikings.
Mike Singletary is saying there, put him back, put him back. I think they want to get him out of a
63 offense. Still second down.
That was Kirk Loudermilk. He was holding on Dan Hampton on that play. Hampton lined up over Loudermilk, and they were running to his right. But I think that the Bears want to get him in that long yardage, make sure they have to pass so they can get in a pass rush defense.
And now it's McMichael that's getting the rest in the Bear defense. Perry has moved over to the left side. Outside to Dozier. Stopped by Morrissey. He was the first one there, but a gain of 8.
Wilson's pass was complete to Dozier.
See, that's the thing that the Vikings were trying to do there. Is you get that penalty and you get that 2nd and 20, and instead of trying to go 25 yards and force something, you try and get 8 or 10 of it, and then come back on 3rd down and get that next 10.
They'll need 9 on 3rd down, and they're out quickly. Wilson flush out of the pocket. Incomplete. He was pursued by Dent and Hampton.
And I think Wilson could have taken a scramble out here in the left side. I'm surprised that he didn't do it because the Bears were in a stunt. Dent took it inside. Wilson saw that left. I think he could have ran out here. In fact, I think that's when the Viking offense is the best, when Wade Wilson does a little more scrambling than he's done this first half.
Mark Green back deep for the Bears. Bucky Scribner, the opponent for Minnesota.
A shank. That didn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. That ball went out of bounds before it hit the line of scrimmage, or right at the line of scrimmage.
A 9-yard punt. They needed 9. You're right. So the Bears get it in pretty good shape. 4:45 left in the first half. 7-7. 7-7. The Vikings and the Bears.
Let's watch what happened on that third down play back. You see, when you get this stunt in here, they got them all packed in. I thought Wade Wilson could have run on that play. You see the Bears stunt now. Right now, they're all packed in here. I thought Wade Wilson could have brought the ball out here and either thrown from here or just run for the first down, which was right here.
Wade Wilson. Minnesota's run for 18 yards, the Bears for 15 yards. And the Bears thought they had to run. Here's that cockeyed formation. They give this to Anderson, hit behind the line of scrimmage by Al Noga. No gain.
Brought down by Al Noga.
Last 3 times they had the ball. Well, obviously they've punted 3 times. They haven't had the ball in very good field position, and they haven't done much with it.
From the Bears, 48.
Mike Tomczak is 0 for 6 out of his last 6 passes, and I think that last week he didn't have a very good start and came on strong. Today he had a pretty good start and then kind of threw it neutral.
Well, he'll have a chance to throw it now. Maybe. And he gets it to Anderson, who takes a real wallop from Darrell Fullington, but Anderson's okay.
Well, Fullington tried to get the ball out of Anderson's hand after he was down. He was just a step late. If you're going to get the ball, you got to get there a step before that. Was 29. You'll see him come in there. That's a good throw. That's a heck of a throw between 2 defenders. See, Anderson has the ball. It's down. The play's over. Now it doesn't do you any good to get the ball.
A gain of 21. The Bears' first down on this quarter. At the Viking 31. Tomczak back quickly. Chased. Fires out of bounds. Gentry, the intended receiver. Millard was in his face.
I'll tell you, he was hanging on Tomczak. Tomczak has to throw it at that time. Watch Millard. He's coming from the left side. Now he's coming right up the middle. Watch right there. Now, if you don't throw it then, you're going to get caught with it. I mean, there's no way that a quarterback can step, follow through, all those things that you talk about when you got number 75 hanging on you.
He generates a lot of power in a hurry. 2nd and 10.
You know, he not only has power, but he has extreme quickness.
Plus, he's got on occasion, a mean temper. This is Anderson with a blocker in front. Anderson inside the 20. And another Bear first down. Bortz got the good block in front of him.
And Anderson set up Bortz too. Bortz was the off guard. He's going to pull around and lead. He's the right guard. Watch him. He pulls around there. Now Anderson has to slow up a little here. Let Bortz get his guy right there. So he just hold enough for him. Then Bortz gets a block. Then that frees Anderson for another 5 or 6 yards.
They're at the Viking 18, 1st and 10. Tied at 7. Trying to develop. Muster got the ball, did well to hold on to it as Dolman fired into the backfield.
Dolman got there before he had a chance to make the handoff. Well, watch, Dolman's going to come from the outside, and he's going to get penetration on that side right there. If we can stop it right now, you see Dolman is right here on block. He's going to get here. They're going to try and hand off and then get the reverse going. Dolman gets into the backfield and gets Buster before the reverse handoff even gets here.
Very fortunate there wasn't a fumble on that play. 2 minutes to go in the first half. 7-7.
While the Vikings have all three. Today's halftime program is Buster.
The play.
And they didn't have any such thing as a laundry either.
That's real football now. Play without a hat.
Here's Tomczak. Under pressure again. This time, Neil Anderson, the intended receiver.
Contact up to Anderson.
You know that first down play and that reverse where Dolman penetrated and threw him for a loss was a big play, because that, instead of being like 2nd and 5, they ended up 2nd and 15. Now they have to pass. Then the Vikings can get in everything past defense. That changed, that first down play by Dolman changed the entire picture of this situation.
3rd down and 16 from the 24.
I think they took too long in the huddle. They have to take a timeout.
Chicago.
The Vikings are thinking sack here, try and knock them out of field goal, and the Bears have to be thinking no turnover.
So 1:56 remain in the first half, and it's still 7-7. 6 defensive backs on the field. They're hoping sack to make it a little bit more difficult field goal try for Butler.
I would think so. Or with a sack, they could maybe even knock them out of field goal range. Or as you say, it would be a difficult field goal. And the Bears, of course, are thinking touchdown, although they can get a first down with 15 yards, but they're thinking no turnover. Don't force it.
A draw play. And they're going to settle for a 1-yard gain and a field goal attempt.
I think that's a little give up. I mean, I would rather take a shot, but I know what they were worried about. They haven't had a turnover yet. They knew they had to fight against turnovers, and so they didn't want a chance forcing anything, so they ran a safe draw play.
Minnesota takes this timeout now. 1 to stop the clock, and 2 to give Butler a little chance to think about things. Coming up at the half, the NFL Today, Brent Nerve with scores and highlights from around the league. And that one game at RFK Stadium would have enough highlights, I think, to fill up the whole halftime.
And then some other games. How about the one Green Bay and New Orleans? That looked like a lot of highlights in that game.
And Atlanta and Dallas.
Yeah, Troy Aikman had a pretty good start. Then Indianapolis out there playing against the Rams. Phoenix, we'll see them next week against the Giants. Houston, you know, they're having a tough start here.
Rams have tied Indianapolis now. That's still a tie. San Francisco, Tampa.
Who would have funked that?
A 41-yard field goal.
41 yards for Butler. Good. Soldier Field in Chicago, sold out on a beautiful Midwestern day. At Summerall with John Madden. NFC Central Division battle that's everything we expected. They don't know about the battle. Lake Michigan, calm and very saleable today.
I think this first half has been everything we expected. 10-7. You can say conservative offense. I'm not sure about that. Or you can say great defense. Maybe that's more what we're seeing here. But you're not going to be able to dominate. An offensive team can't dominate one of these teams.
This is like the old days in this division.
Ribner's thinking of that shank that he hit, getting it back to the line of scrimmage, and that was probably the play that gave the Bears the field goal, and of course got him ahead by 3 here.
He'll have to sleep with that ball on his shoe tonight.
Yeah, well, you know, you never know what causes a shank on a punter, but I guess it's the same thing with a golf. If you knew how you did it or why you did it, you wouldn't have done it anyway. I mean, something just goes awry. What do you guys call it in golf? The yips? Are the yips and the shanks the same?
No.
Oh, they're not.
Yips is putting.
Oh. But shanks is just, you get just shank them.
Yep.
That punters have the same thing. Sometimes they just get the yips and shank them.
Short kick by Butler. That's Darren Nelson at about the 9. Out to the 30. A reminder that tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes, and then the CBS Premiere Preview, Major Dad, and then the CBS Sunday Movie, Roxanne. Right now at Soldier Field, Chicago on CBS, the Vikings have the ball at their own 30-yard line. And the Bears lead it by 3 points.
I think the Vikings, if they're going to win this game, I think not right here at the end of this first half, but they're going to have to get Anthony Carter more in the game. They're going to have to establish and get him between now and the end of the game the ball 5 or 6 times.
Draw play. Alan Rice. 9-yard pickup. Marcus Paul made the stop.
Took the handoff.
Vikings go quickly, no huddle, 1:20 remaining. Carter trying to dive out of bounds and stop it. 3-yard pickup is all Stinson.
You know, and again, Wade Wilson made a tackle or missed. That time it was Steve McMichael. Remember, we saw where he made Armstrong miss. Here, watch McMichael, 76. He's going to come straight up the middle. Now watch Wade Wilson. He's not ready there. He just gives him a little shove to the side, or he just moved to his right to get that completion.
Carter with that good move, that lunge at the end of it, got the clock stopped. So it's 1st and 10. Got a first down and stop the clock on a 3-yard gain. Here comes the blitz. To Carter, out of bounds again.
Wilson to Carter.
Wolford, the defender.
You wonder how Wade Wilson got rid of that when Sean Gale again was coming right in his face free. He's not blocked. Watch him, 23 right there. He comes free. No one blocks him. He's the second guy in, and Wade Wilson has to step in and throw it by him and get it to Anthony Carter.
2nd and 6. Gustafson. 9-yard pickup, Singletary on the stop, and a Viking timeout. Flag on the play, too.
Well, the flag came out right on the line of scrimmage.
Offside defense, number 55, lined up in the neutral zone.
John Roper.
John Roper is a linebacker who comes in as a defensive lineman, as a pass rusher. Of course, the neutral zone is the length of the football. So what that means is he lined up with his head or hand somewhere in the line of the length of the football. Minnesota's now in a position to get a score here. I mean, they're in a striking position now. A couple of completions, a penalty.
And they have 2 timeouts remaining. Here comes another Bear blitz. Vikings got it worked out. Gets the ball to right. Finney. He didn't get it out of bounds.
Mule Stinson was right up there and missed the tackle. And I'll tell you, right in front of the bench, that's where you don't want to miss a tackle, is in front of your own bench.
The Vikings call a timeout. Next week, next Sunday here on CBS, of course, it begins at 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. 49ers at Philadelphia. That ought to be a good one. Washington at Dallas. Atlanta at Indianapolis. Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and John, as he said a moment ago, John and I will be at the Meadowlands for Phoenix at the Giants and then Green Bay at the Rams later.
There's Bob Schnelker, Tommy Kramer, the backup quarterback, for many years of starting quarterback. This team, there's no controversy here in Minnesota anymore. Wade Wilson is the #1 quarterback. Tommy Kramer is the #2 quarterback.
That was settled before they went to training camp. Everybody knew it. It's 2nd and 2. Carter is split wide to the left. McMichael with a forearm shiver.
Well, he's going to say that Todd Kalis, the guard, moved. Once that offensive lineman gets in a stance, he can't move. And then the defensive guy, just to point it out to the official, will step across and hit him to point out to the official, hey, this guy moved. So that's what McMichael was doing.
False start. Offense. 5 yards.
McMichael was right.
See what happens when the right guard is right here. Now when he moves, then the defense can move. You see him back up right there. Now McMichael comes and just gives him a little shove to point out to the official, hey, that guy ain't where he used to was. Or that guy wasn't lined up where he started.
2nd down and 7 now. Screen pass set up to Anderson. And he gets it out of bounds inside the 40. What about the 37? A pickup of 4. Roper knocked him out of bounds.
Was complete. Knocked out of bounds by Roper.
I think with 1 timeout, I would think that a screen pass to Anderson isn't a play here. I would think now you want to get the ball. They would like to get the ball inside the 30 now. You know, for about a 10-yard pass, I would give him a 1st down. That would put him in field goal range.
Carter again splits wide to the left. Gustafson was the man in motion. The handoff is to Rice. Out of bounds. A 1st down, knocked out of bounds by Wolford.
The ball carrier.
That wasn't a bad play. The Bears got all packed in to rush the passer. Now watch them. They all get caught inside in their blitz. Now when they run to the outside, they get outside. Look, they pull the guard out there. They have no containment. They'd run them off in pass defense, and Anderson was, 1, able to pick up the 1st down, and 2, maybe more importantly, being able to get out of bounds and stop the clock.
34 seconds remains. Vikings still have 1 timeout left. 1st and 10 at the 30. Intended over the middle for Gustafson. Incomplete. They used 4 seconds.
It's funny they have Anthony Carter, Hassan Jones on the other side, and when they go 3 or 4 wide receivers, it looks like Wade Wilson looks to Gustafson more than anyone else.
Of course, Anthony Carter missed a lot of training camp, almost all of it, in fact. And Wilson and Gustafson worked a lot together throughout training camp.
Yeah, and then Anthony Carter does have a little hamstring pull too. He's not at full speed.
2nd and 10. Screen pass again. Nothing there. Rice manages to get out of bounds in the arms of Dave Durison.
Now, I don't understand what Minnesota's doing here. They get down, they're moving the ball, they were going fine, they were getting in the shotgun. Wade Wilson was throwing. Now they go to 2 screens and a run. I think it's a good time to take a shot.
Well, they've almost got to take a shot here.
Now, you see, they got the field goal. Right now would be a 51-yard field goal for Teddy Garcia.
Against the wind.
So So do you take a shot at the touchdown, or do you try and knock 10 yards off for the field goal?
They do have a timeout left. Those are the options. There's the shot to Carter, and the pass is picked off by Donnell Wolford. That's the first turnover. Wolford still down.
Well, they were going to pick on the rookie Wolford. They were going to take the shot. They said they'd take it with Carter. Wolford has great position. He knows he has deep help from Sean Gale, so he can play underneath of Carter. He does it perfectly and comes up with the interception.
And he stuck his arm out to break the fall, and it looked like something gave way.
You see how he can play underneath? Because watch, he has 23 on top, so they can squeeze that thing. Goes to the highest points, gets the interception, and it looks like, I don't know, the shoulder, the left shoulder, huh?
Either the shoulder or something in the left arm.
I'll tell you, that was perfect pass coverage. And again, knowing your defense, know that you can trail a little. You can play them underneath when you have your safety coming in behind. No, Wolford, the #1 draft choice, the Bears had 2. He was the first pick for the Bears, and all of the players and coaches said that this guy is going to be a real corner. You know, here in Chicago, they haven't had great corners. They said they haven't, but this guy is going to be one.
He patted his left shoulder while the trainers were attending to him. That has to be the area of the problem. It looks better all the time, though.
Well, he's having a pretty good first half. Anthony Carter has only caught 2 passes, and Wolford has an interception.
16 seconds remain in the first half. The Bears leading 10-7. They'll probably just run it out.
It's going to be one of those kneel downs.
That'll do it. As both teams head for the locker room. That's the end of the first half. With the score, the Bears 10, the Vikings 7.
The Bears 10, the Vikings 7.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Zenith. The quality goes in before the name goes on. And by Today's Chevrolet, who invite you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Getting set to go at Soldier Field. The Bears 10, the Vikings 7. Sellout crowd, as you would certainly expect. This has become one of the most intense rivalries in the NFL.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is, you know, they always said the road to the Super Bowl would go through Chicago and all this because they've won the division the last 5 years. But last year, the Vikings beat them twice in regular season, and the Bears still won the division. Of course, the Vikings found that they could beat the Bears last year, but they couldn't beat the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
They lose twice to the Packers, and the Bears end up winning the division.
The Bear record in those last 5 years within the division is just phenomenal. That's been the secret to their success.
And the other secret is teams over 500 and under 500. You see, teams below 500, Minnesota is 24-12. And look at the Bears in the last 4 years, they're 36-0.